We have some more breaking news to discuss today as the Toronto Maple Leafs are closing in on a deal with Max Pacioretty, and this comes very soon after their signing of Nick Robertson, and reports are starting to flood about not only Max Pacioretty signing in Toronto, but Nick Robertson's future in Toronto despite just signing with the team. So I'm going to break all that down on this episode. But before we do, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, about 70% of you aren't subscribed, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button as Leafs news is continuing to flow and we have you covered with the latest news. And the best part is it's free. But Darius, what a day for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's just getting started today for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we know that Nick Robertson signed a deal with the Leafs, of course, 1 year, $875,000. We know that happened. Multiple reports are starting to flood out now about Nick Robertson's future in Toronto, which we're going to cover a little bit in this video, but more so in a video coming later today, most likely. But we have some breaking news as it seems like Max Pacioretty is on the verge of signing with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and rumblings of this started, really a few weeks ago, but as recent as about an hour to 2 hours ago, reports started to flood in that now the Leafs are pivoting towards Pacioretty, and David Pagnotta just dropped this tweet saying that it sounds like the Maple Leafs and UFA left wing Max Pacioretty are moving towards a PTO if all goes well, and Toronto creates the cap space, which they're working on. A 1 year contract should follow. So Darius, buckle up for today because there's a lot going down here, and it seems like Max Pacioretty is going to be a Toronto Maple Leafs. They need to make a trade in order for this to happen. Meaning, and I don't know what the trade is going to be. Could it be David Kampf? It could be a guy like Nick Robertson, who also seems like a trade is coming on that front. I don't even know what to think right now, but it seems like we'll focus on it for this video. Max Pacioretty is going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. Whether it's finalized now or later today or tomorrow is up in the air, but a signing here is imminent, and a trade is imminent as well.
Yeah, and it sounded like at least last week that there was 3 teams up in the air. We heard Anaheim, but that might have been ruled out because he wants to be closer to home on the East Coast. And then we heard, of course, the Leafs and Detroit Red Wings. So now at this point in time, it sounds like he's picked the Leafs and he's going to sign a PTO. And I think that's the most interesting thing out of all of that, because last week when we first heard about this, it was going to be a 1 year deal or whatever, a regular standard player contract. But now it looks like a PTO. And I think that's very interesting because they're just trying to get him on the team and into training camp and get things rolling. And I'm just kind of glossing over the fact that Max Pacioretty is going to be a Leaf at this point. But looking further, it's a PTO. I think that's very interesting because that means a move is coming, and it's going to come soon or during training camp or before the season starts to make room for not only him, but possibly Nick Robertson. Nick Robertson might get traded at this point. We'll cover that in another video. Does Easton Cowan make the team, right? Full time, we don't know for sure. I think he's going to make it out of camp, but they're going to need somebody there after that if he gets sent back to London. So there is a lot going on here. And again, it sounded like they were just going to sign him. It sounds like that is the plan still, like he will stay here for the year. But as of right now, it'll be a PTO, which then they'll have to make a trade to be able to sign him to a standard player agreement. And there's still Hawk and Pop in the air too. So there's a lot going on right now. And obviously the PTO, I think, is just a temporary thing just to get him into the system, into the lineup for the preseason and into training camp. And obviously they'll figure it out by making a move along the way. But sounds like he has picked Toronto. And I think that's very interesting because they got themselves a veteran winger like they wanted in the left wing position. There's a lot of competition there right now.
Yeah, and let's discuss the fact that Max Pacioretty is a Toronto Maple Leaf. So obviously we know that moves are going to go down at this time of recording, and there's a chance that a trade is going to happen very soon after this video is up. But at the time of recording, it is imminent now that Max Pacioretty is a Leaf. And from Nick Alberga, which dropped right after the Robertson stuff, he said, with the Leafs signing Robertson and reportedly trending towards an agreement with Pacioretty, here in Toronto continues to explore the trade market to free up cap space, meaning that another trade is going to happen probably today or tomorrow. And you can also see here from Darren Dreger, I would expect Pacioretty and Hakanpää next in line as Leafs add. So this was the report that came out an hour or two ago, 3 hours ago at this point, right after the Nick Robertson stuff. And then this just dropped, of course, for David Pagnotta. And the initial reaction was a little bit confused. Still going for Pacioretty seems odd. Seems like Toronto is going to have like 18 forward options. So at this point, it seems like Kampf or Reeves could be I don't think Reed's going to get traded, but there's a decent chance that David Kampf gets traded. However, more rumors are starting to escalate surrounding Nick Robertson potentially being a way out. And we discussed this off camera. I think it makes sense for the Leafs, if you're moving Nick Robertson, even though you just signed him to a deal, to sign a guy like Max Pacioretty, because now that kind of makes more sense. And that's the thing we've been discussing all along is Max Pacioretty in this team, assuming Nick Robertson's gone. And we'll have another video for you guys soon, but reports are starting to come out saying that even though Nick Robertson signed that contract, he is still likely to get moved. Again, we'll have a full video discussing it, but it makes the Max Pacioretty signing make a lot more sense. And obviously, you look at Max Pacioretty's stats: 23 points in 47 games. I was more on the side of liking the signing when we were discussing it in last week's stream. Darius, I know you and a lot of the people in the chat weren't a huge fan of it, but it's not going to be a signing where this is the only move. There are multiple moves coming, and whether that's in the form of a Nick Robertson trade, a David Kampf trade, both of them, Pacioretty coming in is the first domino to fall. But do you like the signing for the Leafs? In a nutshell, just having Max Pacioretty on the squad.
In a nutshell, I think it's okay. I would prefer them not to do this. I think there's other options available that would probably better suit the team. Although I think they think, obviously he's a veteran. He's been in the playoffs. He knows what it takes to win, right? So he's going to bring that to the Leafs. I think he's going to be very useful. I'm not going to hate on this signing if it does end up coming to fruition, right? But I think that there's a lot of moving parts right now for the Leafs, right? Like if he signs on a PTO and obviously gets the standard player agreement or whatever later down the road, closer to the regular season, I mean, David Kampf has to be on the way out because he makes far too much. I mean, that's got to be the first domino to fall. He's got to be the one that's going to be on the way out in a trade. And Holmberg is just kind of floating right now in a lot of the mock lineups that I've been seeing today so far since Robertson signed, and obviously the Pacioretty news as well. So I think Holmberg should slot into probably the fourth line role at center there because he can play center. And then you kind of figure out the lineup. But they have so many left wings at this point. If Robertson stays a Leaf, which is now up in the air again, I don't think it's likely that they trade him at this point. I would just keep him. He signed. He has to report now. So I would just keep him, see what you have in him. If it's not working out, then you look for a trade. But yeah, there's a lot going on here with the lineup. So it's exciting for sure, but a little confusing because the lineup, like we were talking about last week too on stream, it doesn't make sense right now. None of it makes sense. And they're going to have to make a trade, a move here for it to start to make sense because they have, like mentioned, 18 players who can play forward right now. They only need like maybe 13, right? And then maybe you call up a couple guys from the Marlies. So they have a lot of pieces right now, and how it all shakes out, I'm not sure at this point in time. I feel like Nick Robertson's going to stay at Toronto Maple Leaf. It would be silly for them to move him, although it would be easier with a contract. I think it would be silly to move him at this point. And Max Pacioretty, with his injury history, I'm not sure he plays the entire year. I think that's the other thing as well. So probably just insurance. The contract will probably be 1 year, right? He's trying to come here probably to win a Stanley Cup. So probably 1 year, low AAV, and that'll be fine. He is useful, I think, but a lot of moving parts here. This is crazy.
Yeah, there's going to be trades coming. And now, whether or not you're a fan of Max Pacioretty, I like the move. I think it's add some veteran leadership at the very least to a team that definitely needs that. And how much impact he'll have on the actual ice is going to be the question at his age, approaching 36. So let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. Multiple moving pieces. The Leafs are going to make a trade very soon here to free up cap space. And the question mark going forward is, will the Leafs keep Nick Robertson? We'll have a video coming up for you guys soon. So you're going to want to make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys soon.